Okay, we're back. Sorry for that. Like OBS stopped recording the audio.
Right. Well, let's get a confirmation from somebody in Twitch chat or the mainstream uh, that we are live with the audio, uh, and I will rerun.
Okay, if you just didn't hear Derek say, "Let's get a confirmation in Twitch chat on the audio," then say something in Twitch chat.
It is a little trippy seeing my own video and then a mirror of it in yours. Way better. Okay, we have we have live. Um, so sorry about that, folks. But I guess that means that I got a little bit of practice in my section, which in some ways is the most boring and in some ways is the most interesting. Depends on what gets you out of bed in the morning. Martin presented some work at GRCon about how we were going to do some updates to governance, and uh, those have now been enacted, the very first bits of that. And so I think Martin is going to pull up the GR governance repository. And what we've done is form an unincorporated association, which is the fancy term for we have created a set of rules which the group of GNU Radio leadership agrees to be bound by. This is not an official legal body, uh, but it's the rules that we're all going to work on. And we wanted to put these rules in place because up until now, GNU Radio has been run as a project uh, by virtue of the benevolent dictator for life model, which is a classic open source answer. Uh, and Ben Hilburn, who's been the GNU Radio president for the last couple of years, has been doing a great job, but has decided that he wants to take half a step back, and also that his job had grown a bit big, and so wanted to find a way that the next leader of GNU Radio and the future leaders of GNU Radio, perhaps more importantly, uh, would be directly chosen by the community or by representatives of the community, and that the path to making those decisions was just written down a bit more clearly. And so we have these initial articles that outline how this works. And so we held our first meeting, and the minutes are held in this repository, and they document kind of the bootstrapping process that Martin talked about. We'll link his YouTube video, his GRCon talk video, in the description as well. But the long and short of it is that the group of people who were GNU Radio officers before instituting this document met up and voted on this AOA, and that passed with 9 people saying yes and 1 person abstaining. And so these are now the rules of the group. The next step, and so that formed a group which is, we call it the General Assembly. It's the group of people who are voting on these large project-wide decisions. This is not a group that's going to vote on every pull request, just on the really big things. And so having a bit more accountability and a bit more clarity in how these decisions are made. The next step was to vote in the replacement for Ben Hilburn, and so it was recognized that this was too big of a job for 1 person, and that it would be nice to have more people sharing it. And so we've formed a board for GNU Radio, and this is currently has 3 positions in it, and I'm very happy and proud to say that the 3 people who have been voted in on that are Mark Lichtman, Martin Brown, and myself. And then out of the board, 1 person has been chosen to be the president, for where it's useful for the project to have one. Sometimes it is still nice to have a single person who can represent the project most directly, or who can be the primary point of contact for outside organizations looking to reach the leadership. And so I'm very happy to say that that's myself. So we also realized that this being the first time the GNU Radio Association has been formed like this, chances are we weren't going to get everything right the first time. There'll be small tweaks, there'll be small decisions, and we were necessarily bootstrapping out of the group of officers at the time. And so this board, the president, all of that changed directly from the leadership the day before this was created. And so we will only be holding a 1-year term. Normally it'll be 2 years. So this is a short bootstrapping process. So until the 7th of October next year. The third thing that happened was we wanted to make sure that it was very clear how any member of the community could join this voting body if they met the basic eligibility pieces. And so this body is meant to be the steering committee, the overall large project decision-making body. It's not necessary to be in this body to be a huge, valuable contributor to the project. But if you are interested in these larger movements, this may be something that is of interest to you. And we are hoping that more people do join this over time to bring their own specific experiences and talents to the table. And so with that in mind, the third and final thing that we did during this first meeting was bring 2 more people into the leadership. And so that was Samantha, who has been a valuable contributor to the GNU Radio conference for the last couple of years, and both contributor to GNU Radio and a huge user of GNU Radio. And we thought it was well past time that Sam had a more official position within the organization. And so I'm very happy to say that Samantha has accepted this role and will be a member of the General Assembly for the next couple of years. Well, there is no end date. That's one thing to be clear about. There's no end date on this. Once you're a member of this, we hope that you stay active with the project forever, right? And then second of all, Barry has also joined, who will be talking later on, and who has been making huge contributions to the accessibility of the project in a lot of ways. First and foremost, probably in documentation, but also in various bits of community outreach. And you've probably seen him in the chat channels, the mailing list, and has been a huge contributor in those areas. So welcome, Barry and Sam. Thank you, and you'll be seeing their names around even more. I forget if there was anything else that I had said the first time around. Please do take a look at these articles. They are semi-legalese. They're meant to be, reasonably clear and reasonably free from ambiguity. They're probably not perfect. We'll be improving them over the next year and onwards, I'm sure. And they contain everything needed to vote in amendments and bits and pieces. So we hope that grows naturally. We think that there's enough to get started, which is why we've moved forward with it. This is yet another step in just trying to improve transparency within the project. So you may not hear a lot about the governance ongoing. If you're interested in being involved, please step in. Otherwise, we'll be just trying to make this work. And I think that's what I have. I suppose the one other thing that I had said previously, and that is a key point, is because the body here largely has not changed, nobody has left the leadership roles. The leadership roles continue on from beforehand. So please still look to Marcus if you have large architectural questions and changes for GNU Radio. Look to Martin if you have a community question. We have a list up on our website of the roles that people have been holding, the areas that they are most keenly involved in. We'll be updating exactly how that's formatted and stuff, but the key takeaway there is it's the same people who were here a couple weeks ago. we're just under new structure now. So keep an eye on that, and we hope that this will be a good model that can continue to grow the project.
Cool. Thanks, Eric. Apparently, I'm hard to understand. Sorry about that. But that's okay because the next person talking will be Josh. No, sorry, it's me. Okay. People, people in chat will just have to, I don't know, listen carefully. I'll try and keep it short since we're already into the call quite a bit. Um, I want to talk about pull requests real quick. So we have a lot of them open, and there's like been some comments on, the backlog is not being handled quickly enough, and all of that. So we've been talking about this on and off. I'm just gonna sort of re go through some of the basics. So we don't really have so what we have is a review backlog. That's sort of the big problem, and we can use your help on that. But also we've been trying to improve that from within the project. So if I pick up a random pull request, one thing we've been doing is we've been sorry, whoops. Ah, wait a minute. Hey Josh, how do I do this? Sorry, review it. There we are.
Should be GR devs in there.
There we are. Sorry,
There
I
it
was
is.
I was on assignees. So what we've been doing is we added a group of reviewers. So what happens when this group is selected, like a random subset of all the people who are in GR devs get selected as reviewers, and we try and get one or two reviews on all the changes that we have. So this here is fairly small change, implicit conversions. So this is basically the same change in a bunch of different files. So, where like an enum is exposed to Python differently. So this would be the kind of PR that doesn't really need that much scrutiny. Other PRs, they need more scrutiny. So in this case, I would select the reviewers, and if one of them would say, yeah, sure, this is fine, then maybe someone else can add their review to merge, and then that's fine. That's all it takes. In other cases, we have either a subsystem maintainer, or we have really big changes that directly have to go to Marcus, who is the overall maintainer for GNU Radio, who needs to approve. So I'm actually going to remove him here so he can review other things that are more relevant. So this is a mechanism that you can use to sort of accelerate the assigning of pull requests. Now this group is not a closed group. It's opt-in just because there's no like button provided by GitHub that lets you join the group. If you ping us somewhere in chat or something, we will add you. And yeah, we can definitely use help with the pull request because as you can see, we have 83 open pull requests, and the big issue is really just like the time spent on reviewing. Josh, did we want to talk about anything else while we were at this?
Yeah, no, it's really just if you see things and you know about that part of the code, get in there, take a closer look, test out the patch, and sign off on it, because the more eyes we have on these, the quicker we can get them integrated.
I think one thing worth pointing out is if you if it's the first time you review something, like might be worth just spending a little bit more time saying how you reviewed it, just so we know you're not just some random bot who clicked approve. But that's not something people have to do all the time. All right, that's that's enough on pull requests. So we have something coming up on the schedule. So Josh, I'll give it back to you.
Yep. Yeah. So thanks, Martin. So I guess as we've mentioned before, an ongoing topic, ongoing development has been on replacing the GNU Radio schedule with a more modular framework. And at GNU Radio Conference, we rolled out this Bastian rolled out his architectural concepts of hierarchical schedulers, modular design, and we rolled out the new Sketch repo, which is where we're building up a proof of concept for these kind of future modular GNU Radio ideas that we're saying is, could be the future GNU Radio 4.0, moving in that direction. And what we've done, we got a big jump start over the summer. As we mentioned in the last developer call, we had these meetings with the different DSSOC performers. It's a DARPA project where these teams are building custom heterogeneous hardware platforms and the associated scheduling mechanisms. So we were able to pick their brains and really work with them to understand the concepts, their code bases, different scheduling paradigms. But now we're trying to take that more into concrete implementation. So at the end of GNU Radio Conference this year, we had a breakout session where we really focused on the implementation aspects, and we want to continue that. So the first thing we laid out was we want to keep this going as a bi-weekly or monthly session, whatever people can tolerate. And we had a lot of people join this session, and it was very productive. So next Thursday at this time, so basically on Thursdays following the developer meeting, and then every other Thursday, not conflicting with the developer meeting, we'd like to keep this scheduler GR 4.0 implementation meeting going. And we can, there is a chat room on chat.gnuradio.org on the matrix, hashtag scheduler. You can look that up if you're interested in this work. And there's also a mailing list, which is posted in that chat room as well. So information about the meeting coming up will be in there, and ongoing discussions about this work in there as well. So I hope folks can make it out next week tentatively, but we'll have more details with the meeting link and everything in the chat room.
We should get that on the wiki/website as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So on the mailing list, Marcus had taken good notes and sent them out. There's a blog post in draft form, has not been posted yet, but yeah, we definitely want to be communicating this. The wiki, I think, would be a good place to keep more up-to-date information. Thanks, Derek.
Cool. And we have yet more content. So the final thing we're going to talk about today is the state of the ATA. Derek, what's the ATA?
Well, this isn't the last thing for today, but okay. Yes. So the Allen Telescope Array is a radio telescope in Northern California, which is operated by the SETI Institute, which GNU Radio as a project has now joined up with. And in conjunction with the Breakthrough Listen and Berkeley SETI Institute, Berkeley SETI Research Center, sorry. And we had a Hackfest out there May of last year, which seems like a very long time ago now. And then they ran a workshop at GRCon, which the video for that is almost up on YouTube. That'll be a point for later in on the call. But the interesting point there is that they are very interested in opening this up to the GNU Radio community and the broader public. And during the conference, they ran a workshop about how access was working technically, with a demonstration of making an observation from within GNU Radio. But thanks to the excellent work of Ellie White, who was a summer intern there at the SETI Institute, we have GRATA, which is the module for dealing with this, but it had gotten to the point of basic usability. A lot of things had not been tested yet, or just were outside of the scope of her project. Things like calculation of the baselines between multiple antennas, phased array operation, phase coherent operation between multiple antennas pointed at different targets, things like that. And a lot of the testing of high data rates, data storage, logistics of the server, how the VPN connection was going to be managed between lots of people, all the things which make IT IT. And so we put together a small group of people from within the GNU radio community and invited them to come in for a shakedown. The expectation was maybe they'd be able to get the radios working by the end of the weekend. And they did. And it's actually been 2 weekends now. And so the preliminary results of that are starting to show up on the internet. Daniel Estevez particularly has already published an excellent blog post outlining some of the work that he's done. I know that Marcus Leach has published a note on the Canadian Experimental Radio Astronomy Association, SARA, the website there, and we'll be putting together a blog post summarizing some of their work. But basically, the summary is on the technical side, things are starting to run. We're going to be looking at opening this up even more. And so if you're interested in getting observing time on a 6-meter satellite dish, or potentially multiple simultaneous, then join the #SETI channel on the chat system, or send an email out to the mailing list, and we'll be publishing info there about how to get involved more and more. It is still quite a manual thing, and there's still a lot of things that we're figuring out logistically, such as how do you make a reservation on the system? There's not a good answer for that at the moment. So it's not that we're being stingy, it's that we logistically can't handle a lot of people at the moment. But the goal is absolutely to get as many people as we can involved in that system. Also, on this server, there's a series of large GPUs and a very large FPGA accelerator board. And so some of the work that's being done by the scheduler group, we hope to see some of that exercised, or people experimenting with different options using this server just as a resource that's more expensive than you could afford at home. And so hopefully this will be a community platform for a lot of interesting work. And yeah, I guess, Martin, you don't have a tab open. I should have warned you with Daniel's blog post, but we'll put a link to that as well in the YouTube description and the notes.
I think that's super cool. But you said there was something else? Like,
yes, so there's at least 2 more things. First up, Barry with the amateur radio meetup.
Okay. Hello. As a result of the GRCon breakout session on ham radio, there was a lot of interest in forming a monthly meeting group. So we have set up an online video meeting. I will present a program on frequency shift keying with a live on-the-air demonstration of radio teletype. It will be on Saturday, the 7th of November at 1600 UTC. You can get all the details on the GNUradio.org. Go to the main page and either click news or just scroll down a little bit and click on that icon, and it will lead you to the agenda and the link for the meeting. And we backed it up. We've already had one meeting that was at 2000 UTC, which made it too late for people east of Greenwich. So I backed it up 4 hours, and hopefully that will include some more people able to come. Hope to see you then. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. And so with the scheduler working group starting to meet regularly, Barry running the amateur radio meetup, which is great to see that finally come into fruition. We've had a lot of amateur radio content over the years, from tests at GRCon, Special Event Station, and where was it? In Las Vegas, there was a breakout room with a lot of amateur radio content. Michelle Thompson, who was the chair of those years, for several years, and heavily involved in the organizing, did a lot of great work there. But if anyone has topics that they would be interested in hosting a regular meetup with, I think it would be great to see this become a little bit more organized and have a list of groups that are meeting up from time to time. We've had an educational chat channel, for people who are teaching DSP and signal processing using GNU Radio in high schools and universities, kind of as an ad hoc thing for a number of years. But I'd love to personally run some sessions with that. So we'll create a wiki page, I think, that lists these and try and advertise it a bit more. Finally up, Sam reminded me, we have the GRCon 21 already starting to be planned. Thanks particularly to Michelle Thompson for the organizing the in-person version of 2020 so well. We already have most of the details figured out in terms of where we would be if we're able to run in person, and that's Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we already have information up on the website. It is tentative. Given it's 2020 and we have COVID, nothing is going to be 100% until at least January, when somewhere in that time frame we'll be looking to make a more final decision about whether we run online or in person. One thing that we've heard very strongly is that if we run in person, we definitely will maintain an online presence. We had already planned live streaming for 2020 before we went virtual, and we would maintain that if we're in person. But we can't do it alone, and we're looking for anyone who would be interested in volunteering to take on parts of the organizing of GRCon 21. We have website work to do. We have, track planning. We have reviews of papers. Lots of little bits and pieces that I'm sure I'm totally forgetting at the moment. There's dozens and dozens of pieces that make up a successful event, and it's been a really small team for most years putting this together, and it would be great to continue growing that. So if you're interested in being involved with the event in future years, please do send an email. You can send it to me directly, dkozel@gnuradio.org, or to grcon@gnuradio.org, which is the conference events group, or post a message in chat, and I'm sure one of us will see it and bring you on board. And that, I think, is the last topic that I had. Anything else from anyone in the call?
Not from my end. This is the most content that we've had in a long time.
It's good.
The audio issue break notwithstanding, is also the longest call we've had in a long time. Well, I mean, let's not ramble on. Let's keep it at 48 minutes then, or however long we actually went. Thanks to everyone for all the hard work they're doing and all the contributions for listening to this call. And we'll have another one in November.
The recording of this call will be on Twitch, but also on our YouTube channel, if you need to catch up on any of it.
That's right. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.